The wind howled through the snowy mountains like a beast unleashed, devouring everything in its path. The temperature had dropped far below freezing, and the blizzard showed no mercy. In the middle of that chaos, a man named Ryan Carter struggled through the knee-deep snow, clutching his jacket tighter around him. His beard was frosted white, his breath visible with every exhale. He wasn't supposed to be here tonight. Ryan had come up to the mountains for one reason, to honor the memory of his late wife. She used to love these trails. Every winter, they'd come here to hike, to sit by the frozen lake, and talk about life. But that was before cancer took her 2 years ago, leaving him alone with their 6-year-old daughter, Emily. Since then, Ryan hadn't been the same. He worked odd jobs in town, fixing cars and shoveling snow, anything to get by. As he trudged forward, he thought he heard something, faint, muffled, almost like a cry for help carried by the wind. He stopped, squinting through the white storm. Nothing but swirling snow. Then he heard it again. This time, closer. A scream. Ryan's heart pounded. He dropped his backpack and began running toward the sound, slipping and stumbling through the powder. His boots sank deep, the snow biting into his skin. Then, in the distance, he saw it, a black SUV buried under a wall of snow, its back half sticking out. He rushed forward, his instincts taking over. "Hello, can you hear me?" he shouted. A weak voice answered, muffled from inside. "Help! I'm trapped." Ryan dropped to his knees, clawing at the snow with his bare hands. His fingers went numb, but he didn't stop. After a few agonizing minutes, he managed to break open the driver's window. Inside was a woman, early 30s, blonde hair tangled, blood trickling from her forehead. Her breath was shallow, her lips pale. "Don't worry," Ryan said. "I've got you." Her eyes fluttered open, filled with fear and confusion. "Please, my leg, I can't move." Ryan forced the door open, snow spilling inside. He reached in, unbuckled her seatbelt, and gently pulled her free. She winced in pain, gasping. He carried her through the storm toward a small wooden cabin he'd spotted earlier on his hike, an old ranger outpost that he knew had a fireplace. The blizzard raged harder now, but Ryan didn't slow down. He kicked the door open and laid her gently on a blanket near the fireplace. He quickly lit the fire, his hands trembling. As the flames crackled to life, the woman's face became visible in the warm glow. She was beautiful, but not in the shallow, polished way. There was something striking in her expression, strength mixed with vulnerability. Ryan wrapped her in a thick blanket and handed her some water from his thermos. "You're safe now," he said softly. She tried to smile. "Thank you, I thought I was going to die out there." "What were you doing in this storm?" he asked. I had to get to Aspen before morning. My phone died, and the GPS failed. I didn't realize the storm was this bad." He nodded. "You're lucky I heard you." She hesitated, then said, "I'm Claire Dawson." Ryan froze. The name sounded familiar. Then it hit him. Claire Dawson was the CEO of Dawson Global, one of the biggest companies in the country. Her face was often on TV, talking about innovation and leadership. He'd never imagined she'd be here, stranded and broken in the snow. "You're that Claire Dawson?" he asked. She gave a small, tired laugh. "Yeah, that one. The one who thought she could outrun a blizzard." Ryan chuckled softly. "Well, I guess even CEOs need rescuing sometimes." She smiled faintly. "And you, what's your name?" "Ryan Carter," he said. "Just a mechanic from Jackson Ridge. Single dad." Something flickered in her eyes, maybe curiosity. Maybe something else. "You have kids?" "Just one, Emily. She's 6. My wife passed away 2 years ago." "I'm sorry," Claire whispered. "I lost my husband last year. Helicopter crash. I have a son, Lucas. He's 8. For a long moment, they sat there in silence, the fire crackling between them, two souls who had lost so much but still found themselves alive in the cold. Hours passed. The storm didn't stop. They had no cell service, no food except for a few protein bars in Ryan's bag. As the night deepened, Claire began to shiver violently. Ryan noticed her leg, swollen and purple. "It might be broken," he said. "I'll have to make a splint." He tore up a piece of wood from an old chair and used strips of fabric from his jacket. She winced as he tied it, but didn't complain. "Thank you," she whispered again. Ryan smiled faintly. "You're welcome, boss lady." Despite the pain, she laughed quietly. "I've been called worse." They spent the night talking about life, grief, and the people they'd loved. Claire confessed that her company had consumed her life since her husband's death. She barely saw her son. She thought she could escape to the mountains for a while to clear her mind, but fate had other plans. Ryan listened quietly. He told her about Emily, how she loved snowmen and how she still asked about her mother every night. When morning came, the storm finally calmed. The sun broke through the clouds, glittering on the white landscape. Ryan stepped outside to assess the damage. The road was completely buried. It would take at least a day before rescue teams could reach them. He came back inside and found Claire asleep by the fire, her face peaceful for the first time. Something stirred in his chest, something he hadn't felt in years. 2 days passed before a rescue helicopter finally found them. Claire was airlifted to a hospital in Denver. Before she left, she held Ryan's hand and whispered, "You saved my life. I won't forget this." Ryan didn't expect to see her again. He went back to his quiet life in Jackson Ridge. Weeks turned into months. He fixed cars, took care of Emily, and tried to move on. But sometimes, he'd turn on the TV and see Claire giving a press conference, her face strong and composed. He'd smile quietly, remembering the woman who laughed by the fire. Then one day, a black SUV pulled up in front of his small auto shop. The door opened, and Claire stepped out, wearing a long gray coat, her hair blowing in the wind. Ryan froze. "Claire," she smiled. "Hi, Ryan, it's been a while." He wiped his hands on a rag, trying to hide his surprise. "You shouldn't be out here in the middle of nowhere." "Actually," she said, walking closer, "I came here for you." He blinked. "For me?" She nodded. "After that avalanche, I realized I'd been living my life all wrong. Always chasing success, ignoring what really matters. You reminded me of that. I wanted to thank you properly." He smiled awkwardly. "You already did. You're alive." "No," she said, her eyes soft. "You gave me more than that. You gave me hope again." Before he could respond, Emily came running out from the shop. "Daddy, who's that lady?" Claire bent down and smiled. "Hi there, I'm Claire." Emily grinned shyly. "You have pretty hair." "Thank you," Claire said, laughing. Ryan watched them interact, a warmth spreading through him. Over the next few weeks, Claire visited often. She brought gifts for Emily, books, toys, and once even a small snow globe that said, "Dream big." But it wasn't the gifts that mattered. It was the laughter that returned to Ryan's home, the light that filled the rooms again. One evening, Claire invited Ryan and Emily to Denver. "Just for a weekend," she said. "Lucas would love to meet Emily." Ryan hesitated, but Emily's excitement was impossible to deny. So, they went. Claire's world was completely different. Sleek buildings, security guards, assistants rushing around. But she didn't act like the CEO of a billion-dollar company. She acted like someone who had found something real. That night, after the kids fell asleep, Claire and Ryan stood on her balcony overlooking the city. "You ever think about what would have happened if I didn't hear you that night?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I would have died, and I never would have known what it felt like to really live again." Ryan looked at her, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. "You've got a second chance now." "So do you," she said softly. He hesitated, then reached for her hand. For a moment, she froze, then intertwined her fingers with his. From that night on, their lives intertwined more deeply. Claire began spending more time in Jackson Ridge, away from boardrooms and endless meetings. Ryan helped her find joy in simple things, snowball fights, campfires, late-night laughter. And she helped him believe in love again. Months later, at the same mountain where it all began, Claire stood with Ryan and their kids. The snow glistened, peaceful this time. "This place tried to take me once," Claire said with a smile, "but it gave me everything instead." Ryan wrapped an arm around her. Sometimes, the coldest storms bring the warmest endings. As the sun set behind the mountains, Emily and Lucas played in the snow, their laughter echoing through the valley. Ryan and Claire watched them, two souls who had once been broken, now whole again, not because fate spared them, but because they found each other in the chaos. And that's what no one ever saw coming. The single dad who saved a CEO single mom in an avalanche didn't just rescue her life, he changed both of their worlds forever. And somewhere deep inside those frozen mountains, where death once whispered, love now lived, fierce and unbreakable.